As someone who really likes long storytelling quite a bit and arcs, I do enjoy my one-shots every once in a while. Actually, if they are good, they're some of the greatest comics I ever read. And if you don't know what one-shots are, that's fine. One-shots are basically one issue that covers the entire story. There's no sequel to it, or there might be trails from it in other series or arcs, but this just tells a complete story in one issue, usually 22 to 26 pages, and it's just that type of storytelling that I really enjoy because it means that it has a focus of what it wants to tell in that short span of time. And today we're going to talk about 6 of them from Batman. So that could be Batman from any series, Shadow of the Bat, regular Batman, Detective Comics, whatever. But it is 6 one-shots that really just resonated with me in some way. They're all different, but they all matter. They all have that impact. And again, you can read this in pretty much 15 minutes or less and really see what I'm talking about. So let's get to my list right now. I'm actually going to start my list with one of the last issues of Scott Snyder's New 52 Batman run, with issue 51. Now, this issue, you do not really have to read Scott Snyder's run to get it. Just pretty much picture a Batman who's been doing this for years, who's just the Batman, you know, saving people, stopping crime, fighting criminals. And this is an issue where he goes out one night, you know, typical just Batman fashion, and he realizes that the city is kind of quiet. And this issue just for some reason really stuck with me as such a different tone than you get. Every issue you read of Batman, usually something bad is happening and Batman reacts to it. This time Batman goes out to find crime, and every time he does, something happens that basically is like, nope, we're good here. When he goes to Arkham, all the villains are there. Instead of fighting them, basically they are still trapped in there due to the new security. All the planning from other villains has kind of just ceased for the night. Even Joker's just like, yeah, I'm not going to return right now. I was already a big part of it all for the last few years. So it's just really cool to just have a night where Batman's like, I don't really have to do something, but it ends on such a great fashion that follows who Batman is, and basically like, but I'll wait the rest of the night to see if something comes up, because that's who Batman is, always trying to prevent the crime that changed his life as a child with his parents. Alright, next up we're going to talk about Batman Rebirth issue 23, and this is part of Tom King's run, and this is Swamp Thing and Batman just meeting up and having such a delicate conversation. They're actually trying to both hunt a criminal, and it all relates to kind of Swamp Thing, but brings back a lot of memories for Bruce. So it's really kind of cool to see 2 characters who don't interact all that much. You really never get Swamp Thing and Batman kind of doing their thing together, and they're both finding the same criminal or the same target, and definitely they want to dispatch this criminal in a very different way. And Batman, such a great detective, definitely is the one who can find this, but Swamp Thing does something so kind of fucked up in a way, but kind of so Swamp Thing. And it's so great because once it all happens, once this issue settles, you kind of get a perspective of where Swamp Thing comes from, where he's just like, okay, and Batman's like, how dare you? And then you realize how different they are, even though this whole issue, they're kind of focusing on how similar they are. So I really just like when your perspective changes midway through a story, and the ending definitely changes your perspective for both characters after working together. Also, the art in this issue is phenomenal, and it's Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's one of my favorite creatures in all of media. So just love watching these two work together, and then not so much by the end. So let's talk about Batman issue 424, and we're going back in time. So this is right before Jason Todd's ultimate demise, and it's really Robin and Batman trying to help a girl who's being abused by her boyfriend. And what's happening is that Robin is very much in this case. He's very, very attached because he does not like seeing this girl get abused, and this guy's a criminal, a piece of shit. Just let's play it out as, you know, an awful person. And Batman also wants to stop this guy, but as they work together, Robin is very headstrong. He doesn't wait for Batman's commands, and he kind of thinks he knows what to do. Well, Batman's trying to hold it back. Well, ultimately something terrible happens that results in an awful outcome for the character, and Robin just kind of goes nuts a little bit, and he goes to meet this criminal at the end to talk to them. And this criminal, little spoilers here, something happens to them that's kind of fatal. So it makes Batman kind of question Robin and saying, what did you do? And this kind of rift, this way that they work so different, yet they're both trying to stop the same crime, similar to the, Swamp Thing and Batman comparison I just had, is that this is basically his child, his adopted child, doing something terrible, and Batman really doesn't know how to handle it. The ending is one of my favorite ever in any Batman story, and I was very intrigued to read more of this run, but this one issue is so good. If you want to know who Jason Todd is before he dies, this issue to me really solidifies who he was and what happened to him. Now let's talk about Batman Rebirth Annual 2, which is great because the beginning of this annual is basically Batman and Batman and Catwoman, or Bruce and Selina first meeting and kind of their first days as criminal and hero, and then eventually kind of working together. But it's really cute. It's kind of him chasing her and eventually tracking her down and kind of being like, why are you doing this? And let's stop this. And, you can already sense the tension of love. Eventually, though, we shift midway where they're together fighting crime, then older, and then, of course, the ultimate goodbye for Bruce. And I think this is just a phenomenal issue that captures the essence of Catwoman and Batman as both a hero and a criminal who eventually fall in love and become partners and work together as a team to eventually one of them passing away. It's both somber, it's also beautiful, it's kind of all the things that I kind of love in a comic book. It's all the slice of life stuff with the drama and action of being a superhero, and an ending that, I won't even lie, brought a little tear to my eye. So I love when we get a wrap up, a goodbye to characters we absolutely love, even though there's really never a goodbye ever in superhero comics as we get new writers. This was basically one of my favorite goodbyes, at least for Tom King's Batman and Catwoman. All right, let's go to Batman Shadow of the Bat, issue number 5. Now, Alan Grant kind of took over Shadow of the Bat as his own independent Batman series, and it's actually really good. It has some ups and downs, but those first 5 issues are excellent. But issue 5 is actually a standalone called The Black Spider, and it's basically about a recovered heroin addict who's trying to get his girlfriend off the drugs. And he's also a vigilante, a little bit more violent than Batman, a little bit more I will kill you if I have to type of character. But it makes sense coming from his background, coming from him being a drug addict to actually trying to stop all this. I really love that. On top of that, of course, as most of these stories, tragedy strikes, changing everything, including Batman, who's a big part of this storyline of kind of a bystander. Such an interesting perspective because usually Batman's the central focus, but the Black Spider here, the character, the hero, the vigilante, is actually the focus. And watching this guy kind of just meet his ultimate end, I'm not saying he dies, but like just his journey to the end of this one issue, I thought I was reading someone who I knew for years, which is such a cool idea. So yeah, this has to be one of my favorite stories. The art's really good, and the resolution to it really just hit home for me. One of the best single issues that you can read without reading anything else. And my very final choice is Batman and Robin from the New 52 series, issue 18. And this deals with the death of Damian, or I should say the after effects of the death of Damian. This is pretty much Bruce dealing with grief, as well as a little bit of Alfred in here. And this is a silent issue. Now, silent issues to me are either marvelous or just not very entertaining, or I don't know what the hell is happening. There is no words needed in this entire issue, and you feel all the anger, all the sorrow, all the grief, all the feels, everything you can feel is perfect in this issue. This to me is the perfect issue for a comic book. I was sobbing the first time I read this, and then now as a parent, I don't really know if I can read this again right now, but basically it's just Bruce dealing with the fact Damian has died. He doesn't really know how to cope with that well. Of course, he's lost Robins before, but this is his actual son. He could not protect him against something that would murder him, and so after that happened, he is now dealing with that. And it really just doesn't need to be said anything in this issue. There's no dialogue, and I just love that fact. And you just get everything shown by these panels that are beautifully drawn with such emotion. I mean, this is just marvelous. You're looking at it as I'm talking, and you can see how well done this is without any words. That's what I love about this issue. Absolutely can read it. All you have to know is that Damian passed away, and Bruce is dealing with the death of his son, and it is beautifully done. One of the greatest silent issues, if not my favorite silent issue of all time. And that is my list. There are a lot of great one-shots for Batman. Batman has been written by a lot of writers, and I could really make a 10, 20, probably 30 one-shot list of all the different Batman one-shots I love. But these 6 really just kind of resonated with me in some way, stuck with me, had a lasting effect, or I just love them. And I really had to just tell people that so they can check this out as well. But I would love to see your choices. What are some one-shots that you love from Batman? And again, you could do like the one-shot graphic novels like The Killing Joke or Arkham Asylum, but for me, I really like one-shot issues, like the 21 to 24, maybe 30, page issue if it's an annual of 40. But again, just a one-shot issue is really just something I want to talk about, because if you could do a masterful storyline in that minimal time, that is special to me. So put yours down below, the ones that really stuck with you. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. I loved making this one. I kind of want to make it for other characters too eventually, but Batman to me has some that just has this lasting effect that I can't get it out of my head. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and remember, have a wonderful day and go read some good comics. I gotta get a new tagline, but it's pretty cool. I like it. What do you guys think? Is it a good tagline? I don't know. Let's go.